Hey Sabrina, let's take a look at your week 3 assignment 2 drawings here. Both of these drawings are super high in detail, textural detail, lighting, shadow, and then just kind of plain straight out detail with the reflections and the complexity of the object. I think the object is actually more complex than you even need for it to be. You could definitely go with a simpler structure, although I'm not complaining that you're working with something so complex. It's a nice kind of change to all the boxes that I normally see for this assignment. You're doing a lot of good things in both of these. I think the lighting situation for me stands out as being one of the better shading jobs being done, especially within the 1-point perspective. You have a darker kind of bottom part. The top is shaded differently and stands out in contrast with the other areas, and you're doing a great job of adding the highlights to create form and a sense of kind of structure to things. The 2-point is also working out well, although I think that in both cases the perspective is inconsistent and is undermining that kind of sense of form. So with the 2-point perspective, it doesn't feel like it's receding in the way that it needs to in this direction. So you have kind of an angle that's moving over here, and then you have an angle that's kind of moving over here, and you'll notice that they're not receding towards each other, but they're actually kind of moving away from each other, and there's no instance where they should be moving away from each other. I could say parallel lines would be okay, although technically it wouldn't be, but more correct would be that they actually kind of move in towards a direction where they will at some point kind of touch at a vanishing point. So I think there's a considerable amount of area for the table that could be cut off and readjusted, and then the same is for kind of the bottom part of the table, where I think that also needs to be doing the same thing. It needs to be going in the same kind of vanishing point direction. This direction feels okay. It feels like it may actually be getting a little smaller, which is what you want. And then for the 1-point, the top part of the object is great, but then down here, if this is kind of a plate that's facing up here, then this one should be doing the same thing, so it should be moving in the same kind of direction that these edges are. So that would suggest that you'd have it kind of in this way. So what it feels like right now is that it's kind of like a ramp that's kind of moving down, rather than a surface that is pointing upward in the same way that kind of this is. And these kind of little things end up actually confusing things more. This almost ends up being like a M.C. Escher-ish kind of structure, where angles aren't the way that they should be, and so it completely alters the way that you kind of see the object. So really making sure that you're plotting out all kind of your angles. And again, this is a very difficult structure, and I think maybe more difficult than it needs to be. You've got these kind of angles to the legs, and you've got multiple tiers to the object, and you've got it kind of extending outward on the top part of the table. So there's a lot of things to have to account for. So that's just kind of the nature of it. The more complex the object gets, the more it is difficult to plot out. The marker usage is very good, though. The colored pencil usage is very good. You're doing, I think, a great job in both cases of textural work in creating something that's very convincing. The wood is nice and understated, but the color is spot on, and the grain is very convincing, and this is in both cases. And then the reflection and the glass, it feels very reflective. It feels very shiny. I thought you did a great job of that, and creating a little bit of depth to it over here, along kind of the edging. So it really is, I think, a great job. I think it's only undermined by some perspective issues, which unfortunately it just gets so much tougher when you have an object this complex. But it really shows, I think, some great marker usage, some really great colored pencil usage, and I think something to really look forward to as we move into the next assignment.